Now, the transfer window may not be open for another month, but clubs are already getting busy. Yesterday, Arsenal confirmed they'd signed 16-year-old Ecuadorian twins, Edwin and Holger Quintero. The hype has already started online. So to hopefully tell us more about them, we're going to be joined, of course, right now by South American football expert Tim Vickery. Tim, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Now, there's a lot of Arsenal fans that I'm sure will be waiting to hear about these twins. Just how good are they, and how much of a coup is this for Arsenal?
Well, the key word here is wait, because they're 16 and you can't have them until they're 18. So they're going to have to spend another couple of years in Ecuador first. Obviously, there's very little on them. They're 16-year-old kids. One of them, Edwin Quintero, is being compared as kind of the Ecuadorian Neymar. There were plenty of those, just as there were so many new Maradonas back in the day. But the one thing I can tell you about these kids with all certainty is that they have a stamp of approval from the club, which is perhaps doing the best youth development work in the world at the moment. It's this club in Ecuador, Independiente del Valle. It's a little club on the outskirts of the capital, Quito. It got taken over by a group of investors about 20 years ago with the idea of producing players to sell. Now, they take this really, really seriously. They got unbelievable facilities, educational facilities, as well as footballing facilities. They bring over top-class coaches, a lot of them from Spain. The jewel in their crown so far is Moses Caicedo, of course, of Chelsea. But if you look at the Ecuador team qualified for another World Cup, almost all of them have come out of this one club. The defensive unit, they've conceded one goal in the last 11 World Cup qualifiers. You get William Pacho, the big centre-back there, Paris Saint-Germain. He's from this club. Hincapié, now of Arsenal. He's from this club. And the other one, well, Ordóñez, who's playing in Belgium at the moment. It wouldn't surprise me if he's in the Premier League very, very soon. He's also a product of this club. Kendry Páez, who Chelsea took, he's on loan at Strasbourg at the moment. There's a little bit of a kind of Phil Foden vibe about him. Very, very talented left-footed attacking midfielder. He was scoring goals in World Cup qualification at 16. He's from this club. And of this generation, they've produced another one, a centre-back, Dana Ordóñez, another Ordóñez, who Chelsea have already picked up, but we'll have to wait another 2 years to see. So if these two twins don't come off, it won't be for lack of quality preparation, because this club is doing miracles in Ecuador.
It is incredible. Obviously, they come from a great side that have created a fantastic alumni. I find it really intriguing, Tim. Are we starting to see more of the South American younger talents choosing the Premier League as their destination? Because in years gone by, even when I was growing up, it was always they'd head straight to Barcelona or Real Madrid would get in there first. Are we seeing that more of a shift towards the Premier League?
Well, I think the big change has been the Premier League going to source. The Premier League going straight to South America to bring them over. Whereas before, the Premier League would rely more on secondary scouting. The Sergio Aguero route. He comes over to Atletico Madrid and the Premier League buys him from there. Now the Premier League is going straight to South America. Now, that could be hit and miss, because you're bringing them over very, very young. And really, I think the benchmark for so many of these moves was Vinny Jr., when Real Madrid paid what seemed like a fortune for him when he was 16. He hadn't played a professional game, and what a bargain that's turned out to be. So that's the kind of benchmark for so many of these kind of deals, but it doesn't always come off. Not everyone is Vinny. West Ham fans might be remembering at the moment Luis Guilherme, who, again, promised, but the distance between promise and reality is a very, very big one. Luis Guilherme came over after one professional goal. One. Scored actually against this team from Ecuador, Independiente del Valle. It was a cracker, but it was his only professional goal. And then he comes over as a kid and he has to justify a £25 million transfer fee. And West Ham have got almost nothing out of him yet and don't even seem to be entirely sure about what position he should be playing. So that the whole thing of bringing them over so young, there are benefits, but there are also risks, because if they're not getting in the first team, they're on their own, they're lonely, they're away from home, they don't speak the language. This can really interfere with the momentum of a career.
Absolutely. I mean, there's some as Luis Guilherme, as you were talking about there, that haven't necessarily got off on the right foot. But one who's got Chelsea fans so excited is Esteval, obviously moving from Palmeiras now to Chelsea. He's, lighting up the Premier League, albeit the last couple of games have been a bit tough. The excitement is big in the Prem for Chelsea fans. How big is the excitement around Esteval for Brazil out there?
Huge. He's a special talent, really special talent. I well remember when he was still playing in Brazil, his coach there at Palmeiras, Portuguese, Abel Ferreira, had a long playing career, coached in Portugal, coached in Greece, and he was like almost pleading with the club, please don't sell him, let me play with this new toy for a while longer. And he was saying, Esteval, he is different from anything I've ever seen. And part of that is the talent. Part of that is the awareness of space, the awareness of which space to attack, but it's also the temperament. He would always use Esteval as an example to the other young players. Look, he tries something, it doesn't come off, it doesn't affect him in the slightest. So those three things together, the raw talent, the vision, the knowledge of what's going on around in the space to attack, and the strength of temperament, and he really is a special talent. And Carlo Ancelotti is now Brazil's coach, and his first game in charge last June, the first time Esteval started for Brazil. So Ancelotti saw him right at the start. And then between September and November, he scored 5 goals for the national team. Now, it took Vinny Jr. a long time to get to 5 goals for the national team. Esteval got there like that. So he's already someone who, all right, there's a long season ahead of him. You don't know what state he's going to be in come June. But Chelsea have a big enough squad to protect him a little bit, because at the moment he is down as first choice for Brazil when they go in search of winning that World Cup next year.
Fantastic. Tin, thank you so much for your time, mate. Thank you, mate.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So 6 years in charge of Mikel Arteta. I thought it was so fascinating there. I was so surprised when I asked him about that first day as manager, going in there, do you want it to feel nice? And he goes, no, I wanted it to feel as awkward as possible. I mean, what was it like for you guys? I mean, you must have, had so many times where a manager comes in first day. What were some of your memories?
Yeah, probably got a few too many managers sacked, or revolving door.
He gets them out. That's what he's saying. He's got them out.
But then a new manager comes in. I've probably experienced different kind of managers. There was Harry Redknapp, who we had 2 points from 8 games under Juan de Ramos, and Ramos gets sacked and he comes in and he tries to get a little bit of belief, confidence back. Yeah. And that's what Harry did. We were in a false position, but as players we were well underachieving. We were performing to the levels that we could. I mean, we had Bale, Modric, we had some incredible players. We'd lost a few players in the summer, and then you look on the flip side where end of the season a manager goes, and Andre Villas-Boas came in and he said he wanted to make a stance there, Mikel Arteta, and make it as horrible as he can. Andre Villas-Boas came in and he set the tone. He put his markers down and went, right, it's going to be done my way or the highway. Try to get a few players out. And it was challenging, completely different. But there's different ways about going and getting your best players, getting the best out of the players, for sure.
What about you?
Yeah, I was at that time, Vialli left Chelsea, and then Ranieri came in. And Ranieri comes in and had a conversation with the group and everything. So I think, we train that week. Yeah. And the weekend comes, you're not part of the team. So you're like, okay, you're not part of it. You know how that feels, right? When you're not part of it, you think like, oh, okay. So then during the week it comes on, they said the reserves are playing, and I'm playing with the reserves. And that is like,
wow.
You're like, wow, okay, this is interesting. So, but then when you start the game, you say to yourself, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Fortunate, thank God. I score a goal, and next time I'm back in the first.
That's the way to do it, Mario. Nice.
But I was just fortunate because in the beginning, when he did that, when he put you on the bench, and at first you're not even part of the bench, then you're not even part of the team, and then, you think, then you go in the reserves, and you come in, and all the guys in the reserves are looking at you, and it's a first team player.
Yeah.
But there's different ways to look at it like that.
Yeah.
Mario went and proved him wrong. Some people can down tools, can sulk, can feel sorry for yourselves. New managers come in thinking, what do you mean I'm a big player? Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're in the reserves.
You bet that's it, but you got to work harder, and it brings that best side out of you, I guess. Just quickly on Arsenal. I mean, looking at them now and some of the games that they've already had, there was a lot of talk about their fixtures when they first started. But now you look at it, the places they've played already. They've already done Old Trafford, they've done Anfield, they've done St James's Park, they've done Stamford Bridge. They're about to do Villa Park as well. And they're in pretty good stead. I mean, how much of a difference, Dorst, does that make to a side knowing you've got those games out of the way?
Well, we'll see after Christmas, won't we? When the games come. I mean, they've got Villa in a short space of time coming up. Big one tomorrow against Aston Villa, the informed team. But they're going away from home, and you have to get over these challenges. You've got to perform whether Saliba will be back is a big one for me. I think missing Saliba and Gabriel, and we can all talk about Declan Rice, we can all talk about the players in the attacking from a defensive point of side.
Yeah.
It can be huge, but that looks good. I mean, going away to Anfield and the free kick from Szoboszlai was incredible. There wasn't a lot in the game.
Yeah.
So I think Mikel will take an awful lot of positives out of that, having been away to some tough places.
Yeah, you say obviously the influence of Gabriel not being there as well is so huge, but there was also so many people talking about, you know, Arsenal corner FC, that was it, and then you see it now and you actually see the difference in open play goals. We've got this here, so as you can see, the matches that they played with Gabriel, they scored 7 goals. Without Gabriel, they scored nothing. Oh. But actually, from open play, it's the opposite. So we've got, in the last 3 games, they've scored 7 goals from open play, whereas with 11 with Gabriel, they played 8. So is that showing, Mario? Do you think that the manager's conscious of it and going, right, we're going to have to switch how we get our goals?
Yeah, of course. But I don't think, because the way Arteta is and was as a player, that's the same how he's managing his team. So he wanted to be creative and try to find nuance in the game. That's why they came up with this stats. But away from that, I'm sure that he wants to score the goals in the possible way how he can do that. And if you look at we're talking about the defenders, I looked at the number, I saw it today, and it was 164 times those guys played together, Gabriel and Saliba. This is like one of the first times, last season Southampton they missed, it was the last game of the season, but they always together. So when you miss that, it's a big miss for him. So that's why now we're highlighting the stats of the goal scoring. Yes, of course, and I saw it, you know how they play and everything, but it's very, very important for them to just stay focused and keep driving.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, no doubt Arsenal have a big test on their hands tomorrow. Since the start of March, no side has won more Premier League games than Aston Villa, and since losing to Arsenal in August last season, Villa have lost just 1 of their last 25 at home. Victory will put Unai Emery's side just 3 points behind the league leaders, but Emery is refusing to consider his side as title contenders.
We must focus each match tomorrow. Of course, if we are winning, we can be more positive for the next matches. If we are not winning, we are not changing nothing. But our race is each match, and it's good sometimes to remind ourselves our experiences before. And 2 months ago, we were in the bottom. And now we are in the top. Maybe in 2 months we can again come back, going down. And this is football, and this is the Premier League, the most difficult.
I remember getting a very stern telling off on this very sofa about talking about Unai Emery. Potentially, you know, is he the right man to carry Villa? Our guest was saying to me, like, you can't just think about a manager going already. But given where they are right now, is he getting the credit he deserves, do you think?
I think he's got an awful lot of credit over the years he's been there. He's done a fantastic job. He really, really has. And, you know, at the start of the season, like he just said there, he was in the bottom 3. It's remarkable to be saying that and then to see the run they've been on. Does it surprise me? No. They've got top players. And they were underachieving at the start of the season and weren't scoring enough goals, and people were looking, going, oh, he had players last year. Asensio came in, Marcus Rashford came in. They had loan signings that made a difference. I mean, to see where they are now in that short space of time, this Premier League is competitive. And in a few weeks we saw what Bournemouth were 4 or 5 games ago. So he can chop and change. I think he's right. I don't see them in the title race. I think Arsenal are way ahead of where Aston Villa are at this moment in time. Top team, I get that. I think Manchester City are, but what he's doing, he gets plaudits all the time from me. I think he does a great job at Aston Villa, and they've got some top players. But we're talking about not scoring. Ollie Watkins hasn't scored for long enough and he gets 2 in midweek.
Yeah.
I think we get carried away in short moments in time in the Premier League. From 1 week to the next, we go bad result to a good result, and then you're always in the mix. Chelsea were the same. Last week they go and get beat to Leeds in midweek, and now they're not contenders for the Premier League. I think what Unai Emery said there, he's right, and I agree with him.
Do you not think that though, as a manager, like, because would you not be geeing the players up, being like, if you win this game, you go 3 points behind the top of the table, Mario?
Yeah. If they win it, yeah, of course they are close. But he's also tactically, that's his focus, right? The way he played, you know what he did in Spain, all those trophies that he won, is because his tactical mindset is like that. That's why him going against Arteta is really interesting, because they both have a lot of similarities in the sense of one is younger than the other. But what we're talking about is like, they have not too many guarantees, but as a team they're very good. Like again, like you highlighted already, Watkins scored twice. last season was 10 times better for him.
Yeah.
But now there was even a moment this season that he wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
So for him to go through that is difficult. And now look at what his team is doing. They're really, like, if you watch them, it looks like they play together, they fight together, they look like there's enough energy in the team. And I don't think it's going to be easy for Arsenal to beat them. Why I'm saying that? You understand, they're going to try hard and do everything what they can creatively. But if they make a mistake, they're going to hurt them.
At 2:30 tomorrow, Roman, we might be saying something completely different.
You might be.
If Villa go and beat Chelsea, early kick-off Arsenal beat Arsenal, early kick-off tomorrow, they're just behind them. And it's amazing. It's a long journey. That's why we look at other teams doing so well. We're still so early on in this Premier League campaign. And Unai Emery there speaks about it, trying to be realistic, trying to take the pressure off the players and just keep doing what he's doing. And he's done it for a long time.
Yeah, and that's why I owe an apology to Martin O'Neill. We should not have got rid of Unai Emery earlier. Sorry, Martin.
Mikel Arteta has made it clear that Arsenal will need to unleash their complete player against Bayern Munich. The Gunners host the German champions at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, and one man in particular could be decisive. Ebereki Eze, described as a very complete player by teammate Mikel Merino, is emerging as one of Arsenal's most dangerous weapons ahead of their Champions League clash with Bayern. The 27-year-old announced himself in North London with a stunning hat-trick in his first derby since arriving in a £67.5 million move from Crystal Palace. His 3 brilliant goals dismantled Tottenham, and truthfully, he could have scored even more. Merino believes every one of Arsenal's 8 summer signings has lifted the squad's level, helping the team build a 6-point lead at the top of the Premier League. But Wednesday's matchup is different. Bayern Munich, the reigning Bundesliga champions, represent the toughest test yet for Arteta's side. Speaking after the win over Spurs, Merino praised Eze's qualities and hinted at the impact he could have in such a high-stakes European battle. "We've brought in a lot of players who can make a difference. But you can see that other teams have spent big as well," the Spain international said. "Individual brilliance can win matches, sure, but in the end, it's the team that matters. If you have great players who don't connect, that's a problem." The good thing about this group is that everyone thinks about the team first. When asked about Eze specifically, Merino didn't hesitate. "I think he's incredibly complete. He can dribble, he can pass, and his technical quality is outstanding. In Spain, we always talk about players who can connect with others. He has that naturally. He grew up with that instinct to link play, move the ball, and build relationships on the pitch. He also has the mindset to get involved, demand the ball, and influence the game. At the same time, he's strong, he can take players on, and he can finish. He's a truly complete signing." Merino also touched on how the modern game often reduces players to simple numbers. "These days everyone judges players by goals and assists, that's just how it is. But as footballers, we see the deeper qualities he brings, the technique, the movement, the intelligence. Even in training, you can tell immediately how special he is. Yes, he's scoring goals, but he's much more than that. He's an exceptional player, and we're incredibly lucky to have him. He can play in several positions and adapt to different systems. He's been a huge addition for Arsenal." Beyond the technical qualities, Merino believes Eze's attitude, and the healthy competition within the squad, will be crucial in Arsenal's title push. You can hear the calm in Ebereki's voice and see it in the way he carries himself. He's confident, grounded, and every morning we sit together in the sauna at the training ground and talk about everything, he added with a smile. "He's a great guy, already fully integrated, and we need players like him. Competition is fierce. There's so much quality in this squad. That's exactly what the manager wanted, as many top players as possible, all ready to play. It makes his decisions tough, choosing who starts and who doesn't, but it also pushes every one of us to give our best in every session. And that's why we're improving as a team." As Arsenal prepare for Bayern's arrival, Arteta is facing one of the most delicate balancing acts of the season. The squad is healthy, competition is fierce, and expectations have never been higher. But behind the scenes, there is a growing sense that Eze's versatility and calm presence may be essential against a Bayern side known for controlling the tempo in big European nights. Arteta himself has hinted at Eze's importance without naming him directly. After the Tottenham victory, the manager spoke about the need for players who can break pressure, dictate rhythm, and stay composed when the game becomes chaotic. Those inside the club believe those comments were aimed at Eze as much as anyone. The coaching staff has been particularly impressed by how quickly he has adapted to Arsenal's positional play structure, a system that demands far more tactical discipline than what he was used to at Crystal Palace. Analysts at the club point to his growing influence not only in the final third, but also in build-up phases, where his ability to glide past pressure could help Arsenal bypass Bayern's aggressive midfield line. There is also an awareness that Bayern's fullbacks tend to push high, leaving spaces between the lines. Iza's skill set, sharp turns, deceptive acceleration, and precise final balls, could be exactly what Arteta needs to exploit those gaps. Outside the club, pundits have already started circling Wednesday's match as a defining moment for the £67.5 million signing. Some believe that if Iza can impose himself on a Champions League quarter-final against Bayern Munich, it will confirm his arrival among Europe's elite creative players. Former players have echoed that sentiment. Several ex-Arsenal figures, speaking on television over the weekend, highlighted the need for someone who can change the temperature of the match with a moment of calm or an unexpected burst of creativity. Iza, they argued, is one of the few in the squad capable of both. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich come into the match with their own confidence. Their midfield trio has been one of the most dominant in Europe this season, and they have shown a repeated ability to suffocate opponents early. That dynamic is precisely why Arteta may lean on Iza's composure. When the game tightens, Arsenal will need a player capable of slowing it down, protecting the ball, and finding solutions in tight spaces. Within Arsenal's dressing room, Mourinho's praise reflects a broader consensus. Senior players have reportedly been struck by Iza's humility and work ethic, qualities that have helped him integrate seamlessly into a squad that already had strong internal chemistry. Staff members describe him as someone who never forces the game, and lets the match come to him, characteristics that could prove invaluable in a high-tension Champions League tie. As kickoff approaches, the narrative surrounding the match has shifted. What began as a test of Arsenal's resilience has quietly become a spotlight on whether Iza can elevate them in Europe the same way he has in the Premier League. For Arteta, the equation is simple. If Arsenal are to overcome Bayern, they will need more than intensity. They will need control. They will need creativity. And increasingly, they will need the completeness Iza brings to every phase of the pitch. Whether he starts in a wide role as a floating midfielder, or even as an interior playmaker, the expectation is the same. Iza will have to find the spaces others cannot, and influence the game in ways that statistics alone will not capture. The stakes are high, the opponent is formidable, and the spotlight is intense. But within the walls of London Coney, the belief is growing that this is exactly the kind of stage Ebereki Iza was signed for. Martin Odegaard is nearing a return to action after suffering a medial collateral ligament injury in Arsenal's 2-0 win over West Ham earlier in October. Yet, 3.5 years after Mikel Arteta named him captain, the Norwegian finds himself in an unfamiliar position. His place in the starting lineup is no longer guaranteed. For the first time since joining the club permanently from Real Madrid in August 2021, there is real debate over whether he remains an automatic choice for Arteta's 11. Odegaard, now 26, has been central to Arsenal's resurgence under Arteta, the conductor who shaped the team's rhythm through some of their most fluid football. But this season, the Gunners have been forced to navigate long stretches without their captain, first due to a shoulder issue that kept him out of 4 matches in September, and then because of a knee collision with West Ham's Crescencio Somerville that sidelined him again. And during his absence, something significant happened. Ebereki Iza stepped into the spotlight. Iza's sensational hat-trick in the North London Derby has complicated the picture. Now thriving in a central role, the England international has given Arsenal a different kind of presence around the edge of the box. A blend of unpredictability, directness, and two-footed confidence that opponents struggle to contain. He may not control games with the same metronomic precision as Odegaard, but he offers a spark, a willingness to take risks at moments when Arsenal need a jolt of creativity. After such a standout performance against Tottenham, it feels almost impossible to imagine Arteta leaving Iza out. The manager has always had a soft spot for players riding a wave of confidence, and Iza is currently surfing at full height. There was a similar situation back in September, when Mikel Merino was handed a start against Manchester City after scoring 4 times in 2 games for Spain, including a hat-trick against Turkey. Arteta doesn't hesitate to reward form. Iza has carried that form onto the international stage as well, recently scoring a stunning goal for England in a 2-0 win over Serbia in the World Cup qualifiers at Wembley. Though he can play on the left, it has always been clear that Arteta brought him to the Emirates to operate in midfield. And with Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi near untouchable in the double pivot, the odds of Iza and Odegaard consistently starting together seem slim. That leaves Odegaard in an unfamiliar position. He needs minutes to rebuild sharpness, yet Arsenal's medical team won't rush him. The plan is likely to ease him back through short substitute appearances before restoring him to larger roles. But even once fully fit, Odegaard faces genuine competition, because ease has shifted the landscape. His arrival has raised the team's ceiling, and his performances have earned him the right to keep his place. Before the dismantling of Tottenham, Ease had scored only twice for Arsenal, one against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup and another versus his former club Crystal Palace, a clever finish that sealed victory. Now, with 5 goals across all competitions, he sits just one behind Odegaard's total from last season, when the captain made 45 appearances. Odegaard's 2023-24 numbers were outstanding: 11 goals, 12 assists, influence written across every competition. That is the standard he must match again if he wants to reclaim his spot, because Ease is hungry, confident, and eager to impress ahead of next summer's World Cup. Arteta will insist that Arsenal need both players at their best if they are to meet their ambitions in the months ahead. And with Kai Havertz also working his way back to full fitness, potentially slotting into midfield behind marquee striker Vickery, the battle for places has never been fiercer at the Emirates. For Odegaard, the message is clear: he must rise to the challenge. His leadership and quality remain unquestioned, but he can no longer rely on reputation alone. If he embraces the competition and fights his way back into the side, his return could push Arsenal to even greater heights. And if the team has already reached this level without several key figures, the potential for what comes next may be even greater. Inside the club, staff members are quietly acknowledging that Arsenal are entering a new phase, one where no player, not even the captain, is immune to tactical evolution. Arteta has spent the past 2 seasons building a squad capable of sustaining pressure across multiple competitions, and the emergence of Ease is a sign that the manager's long-term planning is beginning to bear fruit. Depth is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. But with depth comes difficult decisions. Arteta has always valued balance in midfield, and the contrasting profiles of Odegaard and Ease force him to reconsider what type of midfield best suits the team's ambitions in Europe and the Premier League. The technical control and spatial awareness that Odegaard brings have defined Arsenal's identity under Arteta. Conversely, Ease's dynamism, physical presence, and unpredictable touches give Arsenal a new dimension, especially against teams that sit deep or defend aggressively in central areas. This internal shift has also caught the attention of analysts and former players. Several pundits have begun to question whether the captaincy should guarantee a place in the lineup, especially at a club with ambitions of challenging for the Champions League. Others argue that Odegaard's leadership is too valuable to sideline, pointing to the standards he sets in training and his influence over younger players. Those debates are already spilling into the media, and they will only intensify as the season progresses. There is also the tactical question of whether Arteta might eventually experiment with a system that accommodates both Ease and Odegaard, something he briefly attempted earlier in the season during the win over West Ham. But with Rice and Zubimendi forming an almost impenetrable midfield pairing, any reshuffle risks destabilizing the defensive structure that has made Arsenal one of the most resilient teams in the league. The manager has hinted that he is open to adjustments, but only if they enhance the team's overall cohesion. For Odegaard himself, the challenge is as much psychological as it is physical. He has worked hard to cultivate an image of calm authority, a leader who raises the level of those around him through clarity and consistency. Now he must show that he can adapt, compete, and respond to adversity. His teammates still speak of him with admiration, describing him as one of the most studious and detail-oriented players at London Coney. They believe that once he regains full rhythm, he will naturally reassert his influence. Yet even they acknowledge that the landscape has shifted. One senior player privately remarked that, "The team is different now, Ease has changed what we can do in the final third." That sentiment reflects not a lack of faith in Odegaard, but an understanding that Arsenal have evolved while he has been sidelined. For Arteta, the ideal scenario is straightforward: a fully fit Odegaard competing with a fully confident Ease, creating a level of internal competition that lifts the entire squad. The manager often speaks about the need for healthy tension among his players, pressure that keeps standards high without fracturing unity. The arrival of Vickery, combined with the recovery of Havertz, only amplifies that dynamic. Arsenal's season will almost certainly hinge on these midfield decisions. With Champions League knockout matches approaching and the Premier League title race tightening, Arteta must decide not only who starts, but what kind of identity he wants his team to carry into the defining months of the campaign. The next few weeks will reveal whether Odegaard's return sparks a resurgence or a battle for relevance. If he manages to reclaim his place, it could serve as a reminder of why Arteta trusted him with the armband in the first place. If he struggles, it will underline how rapidly Arsenal are progressing, and how little room there is for sentiment at the highest level. Either way, the captain's response will shape not just his future, but the trajectory of a team that believes it is on the brink of something significant.